channel, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that we are in the process of moving to Japan, and we already rented our home. So we have about 30 days that we need to stay in a rental property, and we decided to go with Airbnb. So I want to take you on a tour of our cute and amazing Airbnb, which is it's like a condo. And before I do that, let's talk Airbnb. So many times in the news and people talking and on social media, you hear all these horror stories about Airbnb. And I'm just here to tell you that we've stayed in Airbnbs all over the world, from Abu Dhabi to Paris to Aruba, and all of our experiences have been amazing. Now, you do have to do your homework. You do have to do research. You have to look into it. And I just want to share with you some of the different things that I've learned along the way in finding our Airbnbs. And then I'm going to go ahead and take you on a quick little tour of our Airbnb. All right, so very similar to when you're looking for a hotel, right? So first things first, you put in your location and your dates. There are a lot of different filters that you can put in that will help you to ensure that you get pretty much what you're looking for. So some of the amenities that I look for when we're traveling is the first thing first, a box you can check or whatever, and it says entire place. Make sure if that's something you want, you check that box so that it filters your search out of anyone who's renting a room or a space in their house, because for me, that's a no-go. If you're good with that, go for it. But for me, So the first thing, I always put an entire place. Then, depending on who I'm traveling with, I'll put the number of bedrooms and or beds. And there is a difference. So let's say it's me and my entire family. So let's say it's myself, my husband, and my 2 daughters. We know we want at least 2 bedrooms and 2 beds, right? You can put 2 beds, but they will show you places that have 1 bedroom with 2 beds in it. But for us, being almost 4 adults, we want to have separate places. So I always put the criteria in there. So I always put, I want minimum 2 bedrooms and then the number of beds. Some of the other amenities that I look for are, depending on how long we're going to be staying somewhere. If it's going to be for a long period of time, like the Airbnb we're staying in, I put a washer and dryer in the unit because that's what I'm used to, and I don't want to have to go to a laundromat. So when you put that in, it'll show you only places that have a washer and dryer in the unit. And then the other thing for us that's really important, especially for long-term stays, is a kitchen. I'm not big on eating out, and I'm surely not going to eat out for over a month. So I always put in the criteria that says I want a full kitchen. So we can go to the grocery store, put groceries in the house, we can cook, and things like that. So those are just some of the things I put in. The other thing, of course, if we're traveling with our dog, I'll check that off. So again, it'll only show me properties that allow pets. And other things that I look at when I'm looking for an Airbnb, of course, are going to be costs, right? And on Airbnb, there's like a little slider, and you can put how much your max is that you want to spend. So when I first search, though, I don't put any max. I leave that wide open so I can get an idea of what it costs in that area and the places that I like, and then I might use the slider after that. The next biggest thing that I would encourage you always to take time to do, and that is to read the reviews. So we all have specific things that we like and don't like when it comes to where we're staying, right? Whether it be Airbnb, hotel, whatever. So when I'm looking for Airbnbs for us, it can take me days and weeks to find the perfect one for us, right? So I always read reviews. And some of them might be things I can deal with, right? Like, I don't know, I can't think of one right now. But others might be like, yeah, no. Because like sometimes you'll read a review, I'll read a review and I'll be like, oh yeah, it was a nice place, but there were bugs or something. I don't play that, right? So when you're looking for an Airbnb, make sure you read the reviews, right? And the other feature with Airbnb that I use that helps me when I'm trying to find a place to stay is you can create a stay and you can title it, right? So let's say we were going to Abu Dhabi. I would title it Abu Dhabi, and everything that I like, I heart. So then I can go look at that stay and go through all the different places that I've already narrowed down. And then I can narrow it down even further from there. All right, so read the reviews and find what works for you, right? We all have our different tolerance levels. We're all looking for different things. And reviews are very, very telling. read them, take the time to do it. Another thing I pay attention to, of course, is the pictures, right? Obviously that first picture is what draws you in or doesn't. I have seen some Airbnbs where I've looked at them and I've seen people's personal like toiletries on the counters and stuff. For me, that's an automatic no-go, because if you can't take the time to take a quality picture, I already know what time it is when I come to stay at your joint. So yeah, look at your pictures. And here's the thing that I appreciate about Airbnbs. You can message the host. Even before you decide on the property, message the host. If there's a picture missing, like for example, if there's no pictures of the outside of the place, be a little leery, ask about that, right? Because you want to make sure it's not in the hood or it's not out in the middle of nowhere or whatever, right? Whatever you're not comfortable with, you want to make sure that the location is right for you. So I always ask for that. And the other thing is, I know I was looking at for some properties not too long ago and had a picture of the bathroom, but it wasn't a complete picture. I couldn't see the whole thing. So I messaged the host that, hey, you have a better picture of the bathroom. Because again, bathrooms are important when you're staying somewhere, especially for a long period of time. So they messaged me and sent me some more pictures. So don't be afraid to reach out to the host and ask questions, and they'll be more than happy to answer you. And guess what? If they're not, that ain't the spot for you. All right, so another thing to look at is there's something called a super host on Airbnb. And I had to look up exactly what that meant, so let me read you what they said. It says, a super host are their top performing hosts, and their listings feature a special badge that lets everyone know they're extra awesome. So let me tell you some of the things they say. So a requirement to be a super host: completed at least 10 trips or 3 reservations that total at least 100 nights, maintain a 90% response rate or higher, which is a big deal. Maintain a less than 1% cancellation rate. That's something else to think about. Obviously, if you're going somewhere out of town, right, and you're going on vacation, the last thing you want is the host to come back and be like, ooh, sorry, I got to cancel you. So they have to keep a less than 1% cancellation rate. So the odds are in your favor that they won't cancel on you. And they have to maintain a 4.8 overall rating out of 5, which is a big deal, because every time you stay at an Airbnb, when their stay is over, they're going to ask you to rate the host, rate the place, and all these other different questions. And a super host has to maintain at least a 4.8. So if this is your first time trying Airbnb and you're a little leery, a super host might be the way to go, because you know they've kind of been vetted, if you will, more through Airbnb than other hosts. Now, all the properties I've stayed in are not through Superhost, so I'm not suggesting that's the only way to do it. And if you're new, that might be what you want to try for your first time. And the more you do it, the more you'll learn how to pick the right place for you. Last thing to always look at, cancellation policy. So it's all different kinds of cancellation policies, right? And some are longer, some are shorter. So for example, when we were looking for this Airbnb, a lot of them said you had to cancel within 48 hours to receive 100%, to receive a full refund. 48 hours from the time you booked, not the time you got there, the time you booked. So when I was looking for Airbnb, I was looking months in advance. So that for me was a little scary, because I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, what if we don't rent the house? What if something falls through? What if my husband's orders don't come through? So I didn't reserve anything that said that at that time. I waited till it got closer. And then some will say, okay, as long as you cancel 30 days before your reservation, you can get a full refund. So make sure you look at your cancellation policy and find a place that works for you, and the cancellation policy works for you, right? You might be traveling somewhere that you have flexibility and you want to do outside events. And so if that's the case, and like say you know it's going to be a rainy season or whatever, but because you're flexible, you want to find an Airbnb that's flexible too with the cancellation. And if not, in some cases, hotels might be what's best. So I'm not suggesting that we've never stayed in a hotel. We've stayed in hotels many a times and had great experiences. And for us, Airbnbs have worked out better because we've always wanted more space. We've always wanted a full kitchen, washer and dryer when possible, and at least 2 bedrooms. So that's been what's worked for us. We've had great experiences with Airbnb. All the hosts have been attentive. So yeah, don't be afraid of all that mess you hear on TV and all the news, like, oh my gosh, this person went there and this happened to them and that happened to them. I'm not saying those things don't happen, right? And those things happen at hotels too. I'm just telling you, if you do your homework and do your due diligence to find the one that works for you, you can have an amazing experience at an Airbnb. I highly, highly, highly recommend Airbnbs. So yeah, if you have any other questions about how to find an Airbnb or anything about Airbnbs, go ahead and put it in the comments and I'll be happy to help. We've been using Airbnb for several years now, and again, we've had nothing but positive experiences. So let me show you our new Airbnb, or the one we're staying in until we leave for Japan. Let's do it.
It's a new home away from home.
Smells good.
That's cute. It just, she can't go by herself. It's not fenced, yeah. But that's good. We can still sit out there with her. It's bedroom 1. Oh, it's got a bathroom that connects with a Jack and Jill. Kind of. That's cute. That is our joint. This is ours. Yours up there. I think she told me. I don't care about no TV.
Oh, all right, well, thank you so much for sticking in there with me, and I hope you enjoyed the Airbnb tour. It has been a great experience for us. I hope you'll try Airbnb if you haven't already. And yeah, until next time, be well.